Hello, everyone. Welcome to Durrett's Take. Let's get started. So I'm going to skip over the interesting fact for today and just get right into it because I have a lot I want to talk about. And this news that I'm about to talk about was reported a couple days ago, but I've been busy and haven't done a podcast since then, so I'm going to talk about it now. Um, I was wrong about Cam Newton being the starting quarterback to start the season for the Patriots. Now, remember, I don't think Cam Newton is that good of a quarterback anymore. Mainly injuries throughout his career. Also, I think he's never been an efficient passer by any means. And and listen, I know it's a new system, no preseason, had COVID last year, had barely any weapons. It's the main reason why Tom Brady left. Um, and he rushed, while he rushed for a lot of touchdowns, he had more interceptions than touchdowns, which is just not going to cut it. But despite all of that, I thought he would still get the start because when you're fighting for a playoff spot, which is what the Patriots are, I feel like you want to start the veterans so that the rookie doesn't potentially screw things up early. And then obviously, if Cam Newton's not performing well by a third or even half the season or something like that, or you can just tell the Mac keeps on getting better in practice and Cam's not doing much, then you could insert him, and I wouldn't have a problem with that at all. But um, I yeah, so that's why I was kind of surprised that they just clearly made Mac Jones to start right now, and but I thought while Cam Newton he didn't play perfect this preseason by any means, I thought he played just as good as Mac Jones in this preseason. So I'm not. I mean, Bill Belichick said COVID, him being unvaccinated is not the reason why he cut him. Um, so it must have been stuff he was seeing in practice, maybe. I don't know, but it actually should be no surprise that and I mean, it should be no surprise that Belichick did this though, because Belichick and Nick Saban have that great connection. Belichick loves those Alabama players, and since Mac Jones performed well enough in the preseason, and he was efficient. That's what that's what he was looking for, was efficient. And by the way, people coming in the draft to compare next Tom Brady. It's like, no, I do not see Tom Brady at all. Now, I do think he could be like Drew Brees, not will be Drew Brees or as good as Drew Brees, but kind of remind me of Drew Brees. And that's what we said about Tua, but I think it's more Mac Jones here. And the main reason why is because, with Drew Brees with the efficiency, Mac Jones throughout his whole career, he's been an efficient type of guy. And then Drew Brees obviously is not going to athletic, not going to run much like Mac Jones, not athletic, not going to run much either. But then also Mac Jones, at the line of scrimmage, in terms of defenses, like Brees, but then also just getting that ball out, super quick, and letting the receivers do their thing, kind of like again what Drew Brees does. And then back when Drew Brees was younger, obviously Mac Jones has a big arm, so I feel like he's kind of in that regard. So obviously he's not. It's gonna obviously that has a ceiling, but you can, especially since he's from New England, all that, like maybe he could become, like I said, like Drew Brees. Not will be or as good, but like him. But anyways, um, the thing that's interesting here is that um, since Belichick, loves efficiency because that's what Tom Brady was, unathletic, that's what Tom Brady was, quick finger, get the ball quickly, that's what Tom Brady was. I can see why he wanted to kind of get back to that mold instead of having, a year at Cam Newton and going to be changing the offense again when Mac Jones would probably take over next year. So I understand that. And it makes sense that Cam got cut, actually, because Cam has made it very clear that he is not a backup. He's either a starter or he's nothing. Um, so now the question is, does he get picked up by a team uh, at all this season, or is it sooner rather than later? My answer is maybe. I feel like unless Cam humbles himself, um, then he will only agree to sign with the team where he's going to be the automatic starter. Right now, not really much any jobs open. Now, there's places that you think would be open, like for example Houston, but Houston really likes Tyrod Taylor, and then even if you've performed as an injury or whatever, since they drafted David Mills in the third round, even though he's been up and down the preseason, they probably won't rather see what he does than bring in Cam Newton for a tanking team. So I just don't really see that as a possibility. Um, so for me, it's like there's a couple teams that maybe he could be on if the quarterback underperforms, but it most likely would have to be a starting quarterback gets injured type of scenario. But here are a couple teams to keep your eye on. One is the New York Giants. So by Thanksgiving, if we know Daniel Jones is not the guy here, I know this is not the Giants' way. They like to stick to the guy till the end, but if Joe Judge wants to change things up here and Daniel Jones is not getting it done in an easy NFC East, then you can bench him. Or you could bring Cam Newton a little bit early, just to kind of get used to the offense, learn the offense and all that, and then have Daniel Jones be moved to the bench and Cam Newton can come in because Cam Newton, while the offensive line would be horrible here for Cam Newton, I mean he's a running quarterback, which obviously can kind of like make something out of nothing, but then also he would have a bunch of offensive weapons to work with, a pretty good defense, a good head coach, and again a very easy division, and then also he can stick it to Ron Rivera. Um, so that's why I feel like that could be a potentially interesting spot there. Another spot is Miami. Now I know they're going after Deshaun Watson, but let's say even, or they were going after Deshaun Watson. I'm not sure what the case is anymore. But even if the legal issues, he's out for this. Let's say he's out for the season because of that. So therefore, even if you trade for Watson, he's not going to participate all this year. So if Tua shows by Thanksgiving or Christmas, he's not the guy, then Cam Newton can come in. And I know you have Jacoby Brissett there as your backup. We already seen him as the 1 year where he got to be the starter for the Colts, and that didn't go well. So I figured, okay, instead of Brissett here, let's go ahead and get Cam Newton. We got the good defense, good offensive weapons, good online, unlike the Giants. Against a hard division, but it's like you could maybe succeed here, and then he can stick it to Bill Belichick. Another kind of revenge thing there, but maybe that's a smart move. We'll see. And now, literally, the rest of the options here if the quarterback gets injured. So the top option here if the quarterback gets injured is the Dallas Cowboys, since they have Cooper Rush, their backup, who's only thrown a couple passes in NFL career, and then Will Grier, who I think hasn't even won a game as an NFL starter yet. And we've seen what he has. He's a good practice squad type of quarterback, but yeah, I don't want him starting in any games if he had to be. So if I were the Cowboys, I'm bringing Cam Newton, and then that way with all those offensive weapons, better offensive line, um, you know, we think a good coaching staff and all that, and again, an easy division, stick to Ron Vera. I feel like that could be a good situation for Cam Newton if Dak had to go out, because if Dak goes out and they're just going to do Cooper Rush most season, that's not going to work out for the Cowboys. So that could be something interesting there. Also, the New York Jets. They have Mike White as the backup. It's just like that's not a good option. So they need someone behind Zach Wilson if he gets hurt. I feel like with the four running offense there, he can find ways to make him successful there, even though the roster is horrible. And again, division's rough. Um, Another option is Seattle if Russell Wilson gets injured. And since you're so invested in the team this year, if you're Seattle and you're in the toughest division, you can't have like a Geno Smith, be your starter for some games that Wilson's go down. You need someone good there. So Cam Newton can come in, and since Pete Carroll loves to run the ball, you could really become like a Baltimore heavy run type offense here with Cam Newton's your quarterback. So I feel like that's a good fit there. And then other options, you got Atlanta, because you got Josh Rosen, and really nothing there. And the Felipe Franks, who's an undrafted free agent, who, not really sure about as their backup. So if Matt Ryan, gets injured or something like that, Cam Newton to Atlanta makes total sense there. Especially since Atlanta should have a good offense and has an offensive mind head coach there. And then also Tennessee. I know they have COVID issues, so they don't want, Cam's potential COVID problem to be more of an issue. But if Ryan Tannehill goes down, I don't think, Lewarke, or Barkley or whatever, I don't think that's going to be a good option there. So then, Cam Newton can come in with those offense weapons, all that, make them contenders. So stuff like that is to watch out for. So we'll kind of see how that all plays out. So Romo has come out the other day and said within a couple years, Zach Wilson can become a top 5 QB in the same stratosphere as Mahomes or Rodgers. And in the past, in the past few weeks or a month ago, he called Zach Wilson like the next Dan Marino. Now we all know since BYU is my team here, I root for Zach Wilson. I think he will be a pretty good QB. However, I try to be as unbiased as I possibly can, because that's why I feel like it's good content is when you're unbiased. And I think in this case, I actually have to disagree with Tony Romo to an extent here. I think talent-wise, in the next 5 years, we can say, oh yeah, Zach Wilson's definitely on their level. However, since he's with the Jets, they're not going to go to the Super Bowl probably within the next 5 years, and definitely not the next 2-3 years. When we think of, just sit back, when you think of your or mine or anyone's top 5 QBs, you could put them in whoever you want, and then put it in whichever order you want. Now you're going to notice that they all have talent. There's a reason why they're top 5 QBs. They're going to have talent. That's obvious. But to be a top 5 QB, you also have to have something. There's also something else in common amongst, top 5 quarterbacks. You know what the answer is? The answer is success. Now, I'm not saying you don't have to win a Super Bowl, Like, for example, my top 5, I have Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, Russell Wilson, also, Josh Allen, who hasn't won a Super Bowl yet. But the talent obviously has been there. And he's shown progression. So something like that. Or some people say Deshaun Watson, some people say Lamar Jackson, or Dak Prescott, Kyler Murray. You can really put anyone else you want in there, but they have shown that they can win. Like, for example, Josh Allen, not only did he show the clear progression from last year, but now he actually got 2 playoff wins under his belt, led his team to an AFC Championship berth, which Buffalo has been to forever. So that's kind of the difference there. Therefore, Zach Wilson strictly doesn't meet the criteria to be in the top 5 of quarterbacks. Maybe your 3 Jets can sneak into the playoffs, but it'll probably be a quick exit since the AFC has so many good teams and quarterbacks. For example, like Justin Fields got really lucky that, Rodgers will most likely leave Green Bay soon after this year, and so therefore he's in an easy division, and the NFC doesn't have as many good quarterbacks or good teams, especially since a lot of the quarterbacks are older, like a Brady and Rodgers. So that's going to. But anyways, now again, comparisons is a part of the business, and I feel Wilson can be like Rodgers, Mahomes, talent-wise. I think Dan Marino is actually a good comp here. Talent was there, but never got over the hump and won a Super Bowl. Obviously, it doesn't make him a top 5 quarterback of all time, or even the GOAT, but mostly everyone recognizes Marino as one of the best talent wise to ever do it. So I think Wilson can, become like Marino in that regard. And I'm not going to say it will automatically happen, though. Despite the Jets laying a good foundation, they're a bad organization for a reason. So Wilson could end up being, Matthew Stafford, or even worse, the Jets screwed up that bad. But it'll be interesting to see what happens here. And last but not least, I want to do one more thing real quick. Again, as I said just last week when I was discussing Vegas win totals for the NBA season, I do not bet, nor do I encourage it. However, if you're the person who will bet no matter what and wants some tips, then I'll help you out the best way I can. Again, don't automatically rely on me because I don't want to be either a big part or a small part of you losing money. I don't want you to blame me at all. After that, saying that, something I'll do this season, unlike last year, is I'll go over and pick my 3 games I feel like you should watch the Vegas line there, and basically say I feel like I somewhat disagree with. Now there are a few guidelines to this. First, I will not be doing. Basically, will be doing only Saturday games, since it's harder to do this during the week. 2, no FBS versus FCS lines. So no Tennessee versus Chattanooga, like that. Those games are relevant. And then 3, I will also try to do more like a relevant against possible. It doesn't have to be a ranked team versus ranked team matchup, It doesn't have to be anything like that per se. But I want something a little more interesting and challenging. For example, Oregon and Fresno State, it's not on my priority list. One a little more of a challenge. So last but not least, the first game you should watch out for is 23 Louisiana versus 21 Texas. Now, if you remember in my previous podcast, I said my final score there was Texas by 8. So I think Texas will win this game, but with a new inexperienced quarterback, a new coaching staff, a team that will probably be one of the top 5 group of 5 teams by the end of this year, I think Louisiana can make this a little bit close. So I feel like they can cover here, and Texas is going to win by more than 9. Especially since Louisiana beat top 10 Iowa State team in Ames last year, anything can happen. 2, 5 Georgia versus 3 Clemson. Clemson's favored by 3, but for me, I already said Georgia's going to win. But if you just bet the spread here, even Clemson wins by 2, then you're still covered. But again, since I think Georgia wins, I disagree with the spread. And last but not least, Louisville versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss is favored by 10 points. Now, I know this is a Monday game, but it's the only regular season Monday game in college football, which is why I'm including this. Also, I think this game is a blowout, in my opinion. I know Ole Miss by 10 thinks PP means that Ole Miss will pretty much win the game, but Louisville was the 3rd worst team, in my opinion, in the ACC last year. And after Ole Miss coming off its good year and with a lot of offensive weapons, Matt Corral, Ely, the running back, Lane Kiffin and all that, I think Ole Miss can win by 20 plus. So I would take Ole Miss here. So thank you very much for listening to my podcast today. Please subscribe to my channel and tell everyone about me. Thank you very much, and you all have a wonderful weekend and enjoy some good college football this weekend. Thank you very much.